Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. So today we are in the sign of Taurus. We moved there yesterday. Let me show you what we've got going on right here. It's 21st of April. So we have a sun sign in Taurus. That transition happened yesterday afternoon or yesterday morning. And our moon sign today is in Gemini. So here's what we have. We have a sun sign right here, Taurus. Taurus is the Hierophant, the spiritual teacher. And then the moon sign right here is Gemini, tarot card of the Lovers. So Taurus is an earth sign. Taurus is all about dealing with the physical world, but the card, the Hierophant, teaches us an important lesson. He teaches the lesson that we have to connect the spiritual to the physical. The Hebrew letter associated with it, Va, represents nail or hook, and it's the idea that he's hooking together the spiritual reality with the physical, because that's what happens down here in this physical world. If we just look at it as the physical and we forget about the other elements, you know the drill: fire, water, air, earth. And then of course the moon sign Gemini, it's all about action. It's an air sign, so we have air underneath in our subconscious mind, communicating, wanting to communicate to the world, whereas the conscious mind is looking for that stability in the world. Okay, so we want to find a way to bridge them and work with these energies today. As we go through the day, we could see that the upcoming aspects we're going to be dealing with are, first one is a square between Neptune and Gemini. So Neptune is the hangman. The hangman hangs upside down, suspends the mind in order to get a new perspective on things. So that's what we're required to do today, get a new perspective in the way we communicate. That's a lesson there. As we move through the day, we have Venus wants us to use our imagination in the way we communicate. That transition takes place, a conjunction. And then we have here at 4:35 p.m. a nice good trine between Pluto and Mars. Pluto, deep transformation, so nice good opportunity to transform ourselves. And then as we get into the evening, Gemini and, well, 4:43 p.m. Expansion with Jupiter right here, expanding that communication. So we're in Gemini all the rest of today into tomorrow. So working on that communication is very important. And that's what all of these aspects today are dealing with. Over here we have the wheel, so you can take a look at what's specifically going on, what aspects are coming up, how long. So we can see that when the aspects first kicked in and then when the next ones are coming up. So it's a really good, helpful grid and graph to look at. 21st to Liar. We're on a new month on the Jewish calendar. Began yesterday. Month of the Liar, L-I-A-R. Omer count 17 going into 18. Remember, this is the days between the Exodus and the giving of the Torah. Daily thought for today on the Jewish calendar is seeing within. Man sees a tree and the tree says, I am here. I was here, I am nothing more but a thing that is here. Man ponders and answers. No, I give you a name. You are a tree. You have beauty and you have a soul. You point upwards and you say there is something higher. There is one who gives me life and gives me my very being. And so man goes on until he has brought the whole of the creation down to its knees. Man alone can accomplish what the angels cannot. Man alone can discover the spiritual within the material. And that kind of ties right in with the whole idea of the Hierophant, that spiritual and the material, finding it within there. The moon phase is a waxing moon, means we're going up. We just had the new moon just the other day. Now we're 11% of the way towards the full moon. Space weather, solar wind 580.0 kilometers per second. We do have a storm which is taking place right now, unsettled at a 4. Planetary K index, or M-class flare possibilities of 15. X-class at 1. Geomagnetic storm activity is up there a bit. 45% in the mid-latitudes. 35 dropping down to 25, and the higher latitudes are dropping down as well. 75 to 65. And just for those who are wondering about today's past, we have a object right here, 21st. This one right here, 15 meters in size. 2005 HD1. It's going to pass within 0.2 lunar distances of the Earth. Okay, so a lunar distance is the distance between here and the moon. So 0.2 is a very short distance, so it's not even a quarter of the way there. So somewhere between a quarter of the way to the Earth, to the moon, away from us, we're going to have this object passing today. Okay. Let's see, is there any notices and when we might see that? No, but we do have the Lyriad meteor showers coming up. Also something to pay attention to. All right. And looking up at the sky tonight, here 19th through the 21st. Moon sign directly below, we're going to see Aldebaran, which is looking west northwest. Waxing crescent moon shines left of Venus, and above Aldebaran and twilight is shown above. Further to the lower right, Mercury and faint Mars are within 1.6 degrees of each other this evening and tomorrow evening. So there's Mars and Mercury down here. All right, there you have it. And that is our cosmic weather that gets us started for today. And as always, that brings us up to UFO news. Let's do it.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. So our first sighting takes us to Switzerland, Biel, Bienne, Switzerland. Very interesting looking object. These objects, it says go back to February 19th, even though the report just came in. You may have seen this one. You may have doubts later, but when you see these UFOs a few months, you know that there is an underground alien base nearby. This holds true with this new video from the French-speaking part of Switzerland. He has recorded this UFO 49 times, has 49 videos that date back to 2012 as proof. I will place a few of his better catches below. This kind of UFO activity, there is no doubt there is a base. Okay, so there's one here. Here we have another. And these are whole collections of the same that he has. Okay. If we go down here, here's another one. You could see it. And this one goes back, you can see to 2012. And where's the object? You gotta really enlarge the screen to see it good. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Next, over Colima Volcano. This one just recently occurred on the 18th. Okay. There we go. There's our object in question. Moves pretty quick. Okay. Let's move on from there. Next, UFO pops out a strange dark cloud over Belgium. Looks like a funnel cloud, doesn't it? Very interesting indeed. UFO OVNI disclosure. Yeah, those are some really interesting clouds. Indeed. Alright, the video is 2 minutes 17 seconds. And then just fast forward here. Yeah, that's a really that's a pretty amazing cloud, huh? I mean, very obviously funnel shaped, but not moving like funnel shaped clouds usually move. It just seems to be hanging there. There we go. There's a UFO coming out. Let me back up again. There it goes. Okay, moving on. This story here goes back to Vietnam. A former military officer says government authorities have knowledge of UFOs and aliens. Vietnam vet claims UFOs and UFS military were in contact during the conflict and still are. A senior Vietnam vet who claims to have seen several UFOs during his service says there were several confrontations between alien spacecraft and the military during the conflict. George Filer explains that he was a former Air Force intelligence officer required by U.S. authorities to record sightings and information on UFO activity during the 60s and the 70s. He is the latest in the number of ex-military and NASA veterans to come forward with stories of UFO and alien encounters. Mr. Filer claims that while stationed in Vietnam during the war, he had top-secret clearance and gave daily reports to General George S. Brown, the deputy commander for the air operations during the conflict. Initially, his reports consisted of strange strategic intelligence, but the retired officer claims it often resulted in him logging strange sightings of alien craft and contact between them and U.S. troops and airplanes. He told the Huffington Post the military was interested in UFOs because they had capabilities far beyond anything that we had, and they wanted to find out what the technology was, and frankly, who they belonged to. Frequently, the Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese would be attacking an outpost, and I would explain that we had no ground air support, particularly at night, and we'd go in there and with these gunships, and I'd give briefings and all of that. Some of the time there would be unidentified craft over the demilitarized zone. Mr. Filer states, insists his experience and reports from other military personnel went beyond just distant UFO sightings, and there were unidentified craft engaging with U.S. jets. He added, you have an aircraft flying along doing about 500 knots, and a UFO comes around and does some barrel rolls around the aircraft and then flies off at 3 times the speed, one of the fastest jets we have in the Air Force. So obviously it has technology far in advance of anything we have. He claimed much of it was reported to him unofficially, as some expressing too much interest could have ruined his career. Mr. Filer claims the sightings continue today, with veterans of the most recent war in Afghanistan also reporting sightings to him through his UFO research website. He claims in another reported 1968 Vietnam UFO encounter, an American patrol boat radioed in that they were being followed by 2 glowing circular UFOs as the boat made its way through the demilitarized zone between North and South Vietnam. A second patrol boat then saw a flash followed by an explosion that reportedly destroyed the boat that had initially reported the UFOs stalking them, he insisted. The UFO buff who runs the National UFO Center tells of a notable incident over the UK when he was a navigator on a refueling tanker in '62, and he came face to face with a massive unidentified object. He described being in the North Sea when the London Control asked if the crew would intercept an unidentified object over Stonehenge. Mr. Filer reported seeing lights around it, outlining the shape of a cylinder like a cruise ship before it rapidly ascended and disappeared. Last month, Clark C. McClelland, who says he worked for NASA as an aerospace engineer for 35 years from 58 to 92, maintained he had a number of sightings, including allegedly seeing a 9-foot-tall alien in a spacesuit interacting with two of NASA's astronauts in the space shuttle while he observed the mission from the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral in 1991. He also told how he lost his pension and was living on welfare following his disclosure. Also made his own website, StargateChronicles.com. Anyway, very interesting stories taking us back to Vietnam. But wait, there's more. This is a story here in the United States of a former airman who recounts missing time near Area 51. Mercury, the main base camp at NTS, is linked to Las Vegas by U.S. Highway 95. The camp provides overnight accommodations for more than 950 people. It is a warehousing, communications, repair, fabrication, and field administration center. Facilities include a hospital, theater, bowling alley, cafeteria, and post offices. There are no schools or family housing. Former airman recounts missing time in the Nevada desert. A former airman in the United States Air Force recalls an incident from 1972 near Mercury, Texas, along a lonely stretch of highway that includes missing time. According to testimony in case 63625 from the Mutual UFO Network, the airman was stationed at Kano, AFS, Oregon, out of Kingsley Field. It was a radar high operator for the time out there in the mountain. I received orders to go to Udoran, Thailand in 1972. In August of 72, I packed my family with my wife at that time and young daughter who was born in May, and a young Labrador Retriever puppy. We were heading towards Laredo, Texas for some leave where both families were resided and my wife would be living with her parents while I was away. The witness describes the trip. I was driving a 1971 Mustang Mach 1, towing a trailer with most of our belongings on it. I remember we left early in the afternoon and I intended to stop only as necessary so as to make it home as soon as possible. Labrador puppy had been given a small dosage of tranquilizer pills by the base vet so as to keep him calm and sleep since he was riding in the dog carrier at the tailgate of the trailer. He was very comfortable and I foresaw no problems as long as we kept to our schedule. The baby was fed and asleep in the back where we had set up a makeshift crib. Then the witness noticed something unusual during the drive along the desolate area. About 2 a.m. we were heading west on the long, dark stretch of the road, but we could see it was one of those roads that went on forever, then over a distant hill, more highway, if you know what I mean. My wife was asleep, and I first saw what looked like to be some sort of a roadblock set up ahead a mile. I could see the reflection of the cross stripes and the low wood-type structure, which is why I thought of it as a roadblock. But I started to wonder why a roadblock at this time. I was traveling about 70 miles per hour, so I knew I would have to come to it. I woke up my wife to see if she saw the same thing. I started to slow down anyway because I'm a law-abiding person used to taking orders. As I got closer, I saw no one at the roadblock, just a low roadblock structure strung across the right side of the highway. I was about one city block length away from the road and still no one manning it. Suddenly our puppy in the back started to howl, not like a puppy howl or yelp, but like some sort of monster from hell, and very loud howling, and just continued to do so until we passed this area. All the hair stood up on the back of my neck. My wife and I looked at each other, and I hit the gas pedal, feeling very much in danger. Something told me to go and not stop, which I obeyed. I swept around the roadblock to its left side. My wife and I both looked to our right. There was a strange setup, and it looked like 3 daisies raised around a cleared center area like a basketball court with bleachers, but one side missing, very bright illuminated. One dais was facing south, the other about 100 feet across, more or less, the other two facing each other west, about the same length, and all connected with the south side open. In this area were many men, or not, very white in coloring, and they were all wearing what I saw as bright blue overalls and scampering around. There were many pieces of equipment around the inside of the dais, but the center part was clear, almost like a short runway or a large landing pad. My wife said she saw the same thing, except she saw them wearing white overalls, and they all looked bluish in color to her. I looked in the side mirrors. No one was following me, no lights, no police, nothing. I was going about 75 miles per hour and didn't slow down for at least 30 minutes to an hour. I did slow down, though, and saw what my wife was still nervous and that our daughter was still fast asleep and the puppy was quiet. I started to look for a place to stop and rest with people around. I saw a light to our right in the near distance just off the highway, so I slowed down and carefully pulled into what looked like an old-style storefront parking area with the light swinging in the warm desert breeze from the store, and I remember it even made the rusty sound as it swung back and forth. I told my wife we would stay here, and in the morning we could get something to eat or drink there. We agreed. I remember getting in my car, and I could see the outline of the storefront, and I went back in and relieved myself before getting back to the car. Next thing I remember, there was a sharp knocking on my car window. It was a man checking to see if we were all right. I woke up fully and remember that I felt as though I had slept for 100 years, the best I'd ever felt. Since fully energized and alive, the man was not excited. He said he wanted to know how the accident happened. I said, "What accident?" He said, "Yours." He said, "You are 200 feet from the highway, sitting in the middle of the." He said, "You are 200 feet from the highway, sitting in the middle of the desert. I just happened to see you as I was driving." He asked if we were all right. I looked around. My wife was just waking up. My daughter was still fast asleep. And I said, "Yes, I feel great." I looked around. There was no storefront, no store sign swinging in the breeze, and no store. We were in a clearing off the highway. It was a bright, sunny day. My reaction at that time was nonchalant and very strange when I looked back. I checked on the puppy. He was fine. The car and the trailer looked fine. I looked like I pulled off the highway in a straight line to the position I was found in. The witness also noticed something odd about the truck driver, wondering how he had noticed them. I did not notice that the truck driver was driving what is typically called an 18-wheeler, and that he was parked far to the left of the highway where we ended up. I thought at that time, boy, he must have great eyesight. He said, "Go ahead and pull off the road and be sure the car is okay." As I did, I began to notice the bump in the trailer axle. Upon further inspection, I could see that it was bent. I can't think of anything that could happen unless I pulled off and hit something the night prior. I just remember being careful. I thanked the truck driver without exchanging any information, nor did he offer any. Anyway, I was regulated to going about 45 miles per hour until we hit the next town. I'm not sure, but I think it was Mercury, Nevada. At this small town, I stopped at a service station and was told that the trailer was ruined and too dangerous to continue with it. Being an airman at the time, I had little money to rent another one, so instead I sold some of our belongings. We gave the rest away along with the puppy to the service station owner. We took it in stride and just kept going. It only started to bother me years later. By 1981, I had divorced my wife, and life went on, but I still speak to her on occasion about this incident. It does come up, and she still remembers the same thing. I did not report this sooner because of my position with the Air Force. I later worked in the Air Force Intelligence as a crew member of the E-3 training squadron. I then worked for the U.S. government agency, where I also feared some sort of repercussions. I am now retired. This happened a long time ago. Even if it falls along the parameters of the Secrets Act, it has been about 40 years, and by now it should be declassified. All right, very interesting story about missing time. And that is our UFO news for today. So, stay tuned. I'll be back, and we shall continue on.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
continue on. So I brought up a couple of pages here, sites for you to check out, because tomorrow is Earth Day. And I thought that you might want to know a little bit about what this thing is that we're going to be looking at or celebrating. How the first Earth Day came about, by Senator Gaylord Nelson, founder of Earth Day. What was the purpose of Earth Day and how did it start? These are questions I am most frequently asked. Actually, the idea for Earth Day evolved over a period of 7 years, starting in 1962. For several years, it had been troubling me that the state of our environment was simply a non-issue in the politics of the country. Finally, in November 1962, an idea occurred to me that was, I thought, a virtual cinch to put the environment into a political limelight once and for all. The idea was to persuade President Kennedy to give visibility to the issue by going on a national conservation tour. I flew to Washington to discuss the proposal with Attorney General Robert Kennedy, who liked the idea. So did the President. The President began his 5-day, 11-state conservation tour in September of 1963. For many reasons, the tour did not succeed in putting the issue into the national political agenda. However, it is the germ of the idea that ultimately flowered into Earth Day. I continue to speak on environmental issues to a variety of audiences in some 25 states all across the country. Evidence of environmental degradation was appearing everywhere, and everyone noticed except the political establishment. The environmental issue simply was not to be found in the nation's political agenda. The people were concerned, but the politicians were not. After President Kennedy's tour, I still hope for some idea that would thrust the environment into the political mainstream. 6 years would pass before the idea became Earth Day occurred to me while on a conservation speaking tour out west in the summer of 1969. At that time, anti-Vietnam War demonstrations called teach-ins had spread to colleges, campuses all across the nation. Suddenly, the idea occurred to me, why not organize a huge grassroots protest over what is happening to our environment? I was satisfied that if we could tap into the environmental concerns of the general public and infuse the student anti-war energy into environmental cause, we could generate a demonstration that would force this issue into the political agenda. It was a big gamble, but worth a try. At a conference in Seattle in September 1969, I announced that in the spring of 1970 there would be a nationwide grassroots demonstration on behalf of the environment and invited everyone to participate. The wire services carried the story from coast to coast. The response was electric. It took off like gangbusters. Telegrams, letters, and telephone inquiries poured in from all across the country. The American people finally had a forum to express its concern about what was happening to the land, rivers, lakes, and air, and they did so with spectacular exuberance. For the next 4 months, 2 members of the Senate staff, Linda Billings and John Heritage, managed Earth Day affairs out of my Senate office. 5 months before Earth Day, on September 30th, 1969, the New York Times carried a lengthy article by Gladwin Hill reporting on the astonishing proliferation of environmental events. Rising concern about the environmental crisis is sweeping the nation's campuses with an intensity that may be on its way to eclipsing student discontent over the war in Vietnam. A National Day observance and environmental problems is being planned for next spring when a nationwide environmental teach-in coordinated from the office of Senator Gaylord Nelson is planned. It was obviously that we were headed for a spectacular success on Earth Day. It had also obvious that the grassroots activity had ballooned beyond the capacity of the U.S. Senate office staff to keep up with the telephone calls, paperwork, inquiries, etc. In mid-January, 3 months before Earth Day, John Gardner, founder of Common Cause, provided temporary space for the Washington, D.C. headquarters. I staffed the office with college students and selected Dennis Hayes as coordinator of activities. Earth Day worked because of the spontaneous response at the grassroots level. We had neither the time nor resources to organize 20 million demonstrators and thousands of schools and local communities that participated. That was the remarkable thing about Earth Day. It organized itself. Okay. So you can just find out more info here, but that gives you a little brief on what happened and how it got started. I mean, it's good. We need to celebrate the earth that we live on here. This is our home. And for a long while, we've been trashing our home, and that's not really a good thing. We need to clean up our home. Now, unfortunately, a lot of things that are taking place are corporations that are involved with these issues. So what we need is to have some sort of responsible individuals within these corporations to take a look at what's going on and realize how things could be done differently, because we are hurting the planet in many different ways. We all have to take a look at that. So it's good that we have these Earth Day celebrations, that we consider this. Here's another site. It's called earthday.org. And this one gets into it. Earth Day, April 22nd, which is tomorrow. Earth Day's 45th anniversary. Let me click on this here. Okay, it just has all kind of links. You can click on a link here to find an Earth Day event, which is nice. So click here. There you go. We got Earth Day events all around the world here. There's in Africa, United States, Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America, Middle East, Oceania, Caribbean, worldwide. So that's good. Lots of people, and you can see on this list, lots of people around the world taking a look at what's going on with the Earth, and that we need to take time to look out for the Earth. Okay, you can see lots of places. France, Germany, Italy, Kosovo, Macedonia, the Netherlands, Romania, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Mexico, Paraguay, Peru, Puerto Rico, Santo Domingo, Rainforest, Trinidad and Tobago, Iraq, Lebanon, Alaska. Here's in the United States now. We go through Alaska, Arkansas, California. Lots in California. Colorado. Connecticut. Florida. Georgia, Hawaii, Illinois. Indiana. Iowa. A lot of states represented here. Hopefully all 51, 52. Let's see here. All right, so very good. So this is a good site you can go check on, see what all these different events are that are taking place. And let me go back to, it says Earth Day's 45th anniversary could be the most exciting year in environmental history. So check it out. See what events are in your area and go check it out. Okay? So this is a great site, how you can be involved, what you need to do. But I know that if you're out there and you're watching the show, that you're paying attention to what's going on with the world, the earth, and that's good, because we need to have this kind of attention, right? All right, let's jump over to this article here at In5D. It says, fasten your seatbelts. The transformation is happening. Transformation is happening. We're in the midst of it, my friends. In the midst of it. This is an article by Greg Prescott. Transformation is in the stars, but not before an impending collapse of our global system of government, money, education, and religion. There are several upcoming and current astrological alignments which will bring a new age of consciousness to humanity, but not before collapsing what is already in place. If you are one of those people who completely disregard astrology, please keep in mind that astrology shows us how the cycles of time always repeat themselves, while specific alignments always bring about specific changes. Those in power rely on the master astrologers for virtually all of the decisions. But knowing this, it gives us the idea of what they're planning and when they may try to accomplish their objectives. It all revolves around the cycles of the time and the energies that are associated with these particular cycles. For example, Pluto is in Capricorn in 2023. The last time this rare alignment occurred was in 1776, the year of the American Revolution. Look around. What's going on? Revolution is happening in many countries. In 2010, there was a rare alignment that hadn't occurred since the 60s during the Summer of Love. I knew about this alignment in 2008, told my daughter to expect to see a lot of people wearing tie-dye in the next few years, and right on schedule, people were wearing tie-dye without knowing why. As I mentioned into the Love Revolution will not be televised article, we're going to need to take a step backwards before we take a huge step forward. What we're going to be seeing is a literal implosion of government, education, money, and religion culminating in the year 2023, and it's already beginning. Saturn is in Scorpio until September of 2015. In astrology, Scorpio owns the house of death and rebirth, so it's quite possible that the U.S. petrodollar will collapse by the end of September, although people living in the United States will be the last to know about it, as the Federal Reserve will try to maintain their illusion of control for as long as possible. This particular alignment presents the opportunity for people to eliminate their ego as well as all transformation of consciousness. This will bring about the greatest amount of polarity between positive and negative. In other words, as bad as things might get, everything will be unimaginably amazing afterwards. The seed was planted when Pluto entered Capricorn, and now the tree is starting to bear its fruit. Let's imagine that you own an orange tree. If you try to eat an orange tree while it's green, then it's going to be bitter. But if you wait until the oranges ripen, then the fruit will be incredibly sweet. This is what is happening right now. While Saturn is in Scorpio, it gives us an approximate timetable for when the fruit will be ripe. Right now we know that the bitterness of the fruit is already upon us. We also know that in time the fruit will ripen. It will not ripen overnight, but just like the transitioning from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius, this is a gradual change. In the great scope of time, a few years is a fraction of a second. So look forward to this time to come to fruition in the next few years. We're going to see immediate collapse of many of these institutions in the next few months. So be prepared, because the ball is already in motion and nothing can stop it. Do not be afraid to let go of life as you know it, because in order for the new Earth to begin in this third dimensional reality, there needs to be a collapse of what is presently unsustainable. This does not mean that it will be replaced with a new world order. On the contrary, it will be rebuilt with the best interest of humanity as all suppressed technologies are released. The way of life as you know it will seem like the Stone Age in the next few years, so be willing to release whatever we have gotten accustomed to in this current paradigm. You will all be creators of the new Earth, and history will record you as the founding fathers and the mothers of innovation in the next stage of our spiritual evolution and transformation. Those who are currently asleep will be turning to you for advice on how to cope with these changes, so be prepared to lead by example while helping those who do not understand what is happening. The light always wins in the end. The Hopi say that we are the ones we've been waiting for. While it's possible that the world will transform into the 5D through vibrational change, we're still in this 3D dimensional reality where the current system is in desperate need of reformation. The next few years will provide the opportunity for a complete transformation of not only consciousness, but also political, economical, educational, and monetary change as well. They say that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. What have we learned, and how can we make things better? I provide some answers in the Global Unity Project, What the World Needs Right Now article, but meanwhile, please be prepared to take the next step by having plenty of fresh water and enough food to last 2 to 3 months. This by no means is fear-mongering, as change is needed in order to move forward. Transformation always follows these alignments, so there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that light is you. All right, so we've been hearing about change coming upon us, and we're in the midst of it. 2012 was a big shift, December 21st, and though we didn't get the Hollywood version, we got the real version of what was supposed to happen, and that is what is happening, that we are shifting, energies are changing, we're going through these transformations, and we've been doing so. So just hold on, we're still making it through the process. In the meantime, let's listen to what Hilarion has to say for today.
Hilarion.
April 19th through 26th, 2015, channeled by Marlene Swetleshoff.
Hilarion.
Beloved ones, since time immemorial, each of you have visited and revisited your beautiful planet through a succession of incarnations from the world of spirit into human form. Your hearts are entwined with that of the earth, and you seek to bring healing and restoration to her in any way that you as one individual can, but what you may not know or be aware of, is the impact your efforts make on the field of consciousness that is like a giant web, a network, and reservoir of energy that has accumulated throughout the ages from the input of everyone upon the planet. This is the pool of energy that is now being cleansed in a process which now impacts everyone, but most especially those who are the energy sensitive amongst you. When you find that emotions well up from within you, be aware that it is the collective field that you are tapping into. Send love to the earth when this occurs, for this activity helps to dissipate the old energies that are now being released, and then gently detach from it by thinking of something beautiful that the earth provides for all to enjoy. Earth is being prepared for another shift as the influx of cosmic energies from the recent days take hold. More miracle occurrences of nature are being recorded and shared through the interconnected web of activity known as the Internet. The people of Earth and the animals too, are being opened to the love from within, which is their true nature. This connection is uniting everyone upon the planet into a harmonious oneness of being. There is a greater sense of well-being that is filling the spaces of old energies that have now been opened to the greater light and been released. There are many more moments of joy, happiness, and a sense of belonging that is taking root within the consciousness of humanity. People are helping each other and are asking for that help when they need it themselves. They are allowing themselves to be vulnerable in order to experience the healing that they require, knowing that when many people come together and focus their energies, healing can come quickly. Finding your way through the labyrinth of mystery is becoming easier because you are all engaged in simplifying your lives so that you can experience an even greater sense of ease and harmony, and most importantly, the feeling of peace within. This helps the overall field of consciousness release all that has been in discord and disharmony, which in turn enables and empowers all upon the planet to make a shift in their consciousness and awareness to a higher level of functioning. Love is becoming the inherent tendency when interaction between humanity takes place, and also between humanity and the animal and nature kingdoms. As this occurs, the elemental kingdom is empowered to take their rightful place in the divine order and eternal scheme of life. One kingdom of earth cannot function properly without the rest. All is connected to the web of life that manifests through each. This truth will become increasingly obvious as events progress. When any living form experiences pain, all within that web of life will also experience this pain to one degree or another, until it becomes apparent that in order to alleviate suffering in the world, a different way of interaction between the Earth's inhabitants must take place. This is where humanity must step up to the plate and take responsibility for the stewardship and guardianship of all of the inhabitants upon their planet. Voices must be raised and heard as humanity comes together to generate win-win solutions for the highest good of all. Looking the other way when seeing the suffering of those around you is no longer a viable option, because if that is done, the suffering of the entire web of life will continue. And if it continues, the progression and evolution of your planet will be stunted in its forward movement. When all upon the planet cooperate with each other in true humility and peaceful goodwill, then great strides in evolutionary movement will take place. The good news is that most of humanity is ready to step into their deeper empowerment as conscious spiritual beings. They are no longer willing to sit on the sidelines and deny what has been going on for far too long. They will look squarely at the incongruities within the systems that have been in place in all areas of living upon their planet and will begin to make changes to them. When the majority of humanity becomes aware of these individuals as the catalysts for positive change that they are, they will enthusiastically support, endorse, and empower their focus. Then greater changes than ever before will take place in an accelerated manner. Why? Because there is finally a unified focus that the majority of humanity accepts as the reality they desire, and it manifests easily. Until next week, I am Hilarion.
All right, very nice message from Hilarion. That brings us to the message today from the Warrior of the Light. We're on page 60 for today, and then we're going to go into our meditation. So, Today's message. In the intervals between battles, the warrior rests. He often spends whole days doing nothing because that is what his heart demands. But his intuition remains alert. He does not commit the capital sin of sloth because he knows where that can lead. The warm monotony of Sunday afternoons when time simply passes. The warrior calls this the peace of the cemetery. He remembers a passage from Revelation. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. A warrior rests and laughs, but he is always alert. So go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. Another deep breath. And exhale. Now, as you continue to breathe in and out, take time to think about the planet that we live on, the Earth. Think about the way in which the Earth sustains you, and has done so from the time you have arrived until the time that you leave. And as you think about the Earth, take time out to thank the Earth for what it has provided. And as we focus our attention on understanding the Earth, we understand more about ourselves, because the Earth represents the physical manifestation of the fire, the water, and the air, just as we do. So we learn from the Earth as the Earth learns from us. And we learn to look in and treat the Earth as a living, breathing entity. And so we imagine sending love to the Earth. And as we send love to the Earth, we see that the Earth recycles this love and sends it out into the world to each and every individual upon the planet, walking upon the Earth. And we see this exchange of energy taking place, and we know how important it is. So we just imagine today sending out love to the Earth and to all around. That this love goes out and makes positive changes in lives and in the planet. So let's just imagine sending love and light out to the planet and to all the people of the Earth. And let the subconscious mind continue on that journey, and let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. And that is it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thank you very much for being here. I will be back tomorrow. I've got an interview I'm going to play for you. Probably going to do it in 3 parts. A little bit tomorrow, a little bit Thursday, and a little bit Friday. So we'll have that for this week. So look forward to that. It's a great subject. I think you'll enjoy it very much, but I'm not going to tell you anything more about that other than it deals with the Earth. All right. That's it. I'll be back tomorrow. Have an awesome day. I love you. Keep loving each other. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.